everybody. How are you? Hi, Bianca. I feel like I haven't talked to you in forever. How are you? How are you? Happy Monday, everybody. Happy Monday. I'm glad that we have all, so far, everybody that's in here seems to have started the week off okay, which is great. So I'll just get this out of the way. Everything is alleged. Everything is our opinion. But yeah, so Bronxy was not doing very good, actually. He licked. He's really good with me when he goes to lick and I say don't lick, he won't do it. But obviously he gets in one or two licks before I can catch him. So it started getting infected, of course. Hi, Sherry. So I sure will. I will, Sherry. I'll give him lots of lovin's. So it started to get infected. He started to struggling to like walk and stuff like that. Didn't want to use the bathroom. And then yesterday when I woke up, he was panting and just staring at the corner of the wall, which we know is not Bronx, right? He's super the happiest dog you'll ever meet when he's awake. But so there was nothing open yesterday except for the emergency vet. Here it's like $700 to walk in the door or close to it. But I sent pictures to the lady at the other vet and all that stuff, and she said it's okay to just wait till the morning. But I did start him on, it's a medication that's for skin infections and things like that. It would be similar to like a Bactrim for a human being. I did just start that on my own. My mom actually brought it to me so I could give it to him. And because he had 3 doses of that, 2 yesterday and 1 this morning, he actually seems to be feeling much better than from yesterday to today, it's a completely different story. So he seems to be on the mend now and going up instead of going down. So yes, very excited that he is doing okay. But it was scary for a minute. I've never had an issue with a neutering or anything. And when I brought him home, there was some weird stuff going on that I was like, what did they do to him? Because this is not a neuter. Like something is going on here. And the vet that I saw this morning said the same thing. She was like, I don't know why they would need to do that. And it was stuff with his booty, his booty. Was the skin was missing and it was bleeding and he was having bloody diarrhea and nobody can figure out what they did there. So I don't know. Hey, Fizzy Fizz Fizz. So yeah, he is on the mend now though. So the medicine seems to be working good. So we are happy for that. Holy cow, I feel like I have missed so much in the past few days. He's sleeping right now, so he's good for about an hour until we got to go to the PARK. But okay, it looks like audio is good, and I don't think my camera should disconnect this time. I have seen other people that have been having issues with StreamYard as well, which sucks because StreamYard is kind of expensive. But so yeah, Fizzy, my mom brought over it's called SMZ TMP, and it's for dogs, but it's basically like a Bactrim for humans. So my mom brought me that yesterday. I gave him half of a dose, sat with him to make sure there was no allergic reaction or anything. He responded well to it. So I've just been continuing to give him that. It is a prescribed antibiotic from a vet, but it was just something my mom had from her dog. So we kind of thought, well, let's try it and see if anything happens, and it seems to be actually working for him. So the vet actually told me, yep, that's exactly what I would have prescribed him anyways. So just have him keep taking that and do about 7 days. He should be perfectly fine. So yes, he's been struggling with, before he started feeling really sick with the infection, he's just a really, really overly happy dog. He loves to give hugs and kisses and jump in cars and jump on the bed and play. And so he was struggling with not being able to do that. So I think the jumping and stuff didn't help either. which is my fault. But yeah, he seems to definitely be on the mend now. He's been sleeping all day today because he's had a rough weekend, but he's good. Yep, he is good now. But I feel like I haven't talked to you guys in forever, and I want to know everybody's opinion on the Charlie Kirk situation. Yes, I do want to touch on that because I don't just want to do Idaho here. Idaho is something that is really close to my heart, as I know it is with you guys. So that's obviously what I like to stick with. But I want to do other crime stuff in the world too, even if we just touch on it for a second. So I'm curious what you guys think of not just the Charlie Kirk situation, but also with the people that are being terminated from their jobs for negatively speaking on his untimely death. I'm curious what you guys think of that. I can give my opinion while I wait for your guys' answers. I think that obviously there's a lot of people who disagree with Charlie Kirk, and I'm from the same area as Charlie Kirk, so I know his name, obviously, but I've never followed him or listened to him or anything like that. Just being in the same area, obviously know the name, but as far as like what he stood for and what he was doing, I never followed it. I don't like to get into politics, but at the end of the day, this is my opinion, no matter what you believe in, it should never cost somebody their life. And I know a lot of people are like, hey Angel Mom, hey Sweet Sativa, hey Offset Guitar, hey Sasha. Nobody should pass away or have their life taken because of what they believe in. I didn't really once see him yell at anybody or be like super disrespectful. I know he can be a little condescending because I have been watching his videos since it happened. Obviously, I'm doing an experiment on myself, just so you guys know, because I was very green to him. I never followed him. I didn't know what he was about. I just knew his name because we're from the same area. So I'm doing an experiment on myself this past week since it happened. I've only been watching a certain side, right? The side that agrees with him in the media. And then I'm going to turn around next week and for a week, I'm going to just listen to the opposite side and kind of do an experiment on myself to see how the media kind of had me thinking a certain way when I would watch it from each side, basically. That's what I'm going to do for myself. Doing a little experiment. You haven't missed much, Shelly. We talked about Bronx and how he's finally on the mend and going up rather than down now. I agree, Fizzy. Fizzy says, I get having a different of opinion, and that's fine, but you should not be celebrating like that and inciting more. Absolutely. Agreed, Pokey. Yep. I truly hope Candace protects herself and her family. Yep. Me too, Shelly. Thank you. So happy about Bronx being on the mend. Every time I click on your comment and it has the picture of you with your hair, I love that haircut and that style, especially on you. It looks great. I always notice that when I click on your comment, Shelly. Carol says, I didn't know anything about him, but I went down the rabbit hole and found him to be very intelligent. So that same with me, right? Just knew the name because we live in the same area, but other than that, had no clue about him. Didn't know what he stood for, didn't know his views or anything. I think he is obviously he's incredibly intelligent. There's probably not one question anybody on the planet could ask him that he didn't know something about it, right? He reads 2.5 books a week, basically. He reads 100 or more books per year on just all different topics, right? So he's very knowledgeable about pretty much everything political and even beyond that. I did find him very intriguing. I would love to just pick at his brain, but I would also that's kind of a goal of mine too, is to be just that worldly, that knowledgeable about so many different things. I think that's incredible. Yes, Fizzy, and I think that that's incredible too. He made them bring people that specifically disagreed with him to the front of the line so he could talk to them. And I never really saw a time where he never yelled at anybody. He would literally set the mic down to give them a chance to speak and speak their full thought, and everything that they wanted to say, he would let them get it out. I don't know if I agree with every single thing he says, but at the end of the day, he's entitled to his opinion and his beliefs. And it seemed like lots of people either wanted to show up to support him or show up to debate him. But at the end of the day, it was all supposed to be just a friendly, Jesus Lord, a friendly debate. I don't know. Now it's got the wrong camera. One second, guys. You can see my messy desk now. Let me put this other camera on. 1 second. Maybe. Whoops. There we go. Okay, there we go. So, exactly, Carol. I don't think anyone agrees with anyone 100%. And that's what makes us, and that's what makes us all unique. Fizzy says, but it wasn't always my opinion is right. Yours isn't. It was, I see your point, and here's my counter. Absolutely. It's hard for me to see why people disliked him so much to really want to take his life, and not only take his life, but then the other one celebrating it. I can't see myself disagreeing with someone so much to the point that I have that much hatred in my heart towards that one person just because they disagree with me, that I would feel the need or want to take their life from them. And that's what's astounding to me. It's just absolutely astounding. And it might be an unpopular opinion, but I'm going to say it anyways. I feel like the kids these days, maybe not even kids, but just people younger than me at this point, and it's not everybody. Obviously, there's, in any group of people, there's good people and there's bad people. There's extreme people. There's people that do nothing about it and just believe the same thing, right? In any group, you have different types of people in that group. And I feel like with that group, I'm not saying they're bad or they're all bad. I just feel like within the group of people that are basically younger than me, that want to speak out on different things, it seems as if they expect people to respect their opinion and maybe even address them by a name they gave themselves, or in the trans community, asking people to call you a male when you were born a female, and asking people to, just all of that stuff. I feel like they ask certain things of the world, but a lot of times they don't reciprocate that respect when somebody has a difference of opinion on it. Just because they don't agree with them, they are then disrespectful to that person, right? So they demand the respect and want the world to bend to them, but they're not willing to give the respect and bend to the world, right? It's like a sense of entitlement, and I don't understand it. I don't know what is going on with the younger generations. And again, it's not everybody. There's certain people within every group of people that are like that. But I just couldn't imagine disagreeing with someone so much. The thing is Charlie Kirk, he was political, obviously, but he doesn't run anything other than his own businesses. So if you just don't subscribe to him and don't have anything to do with his businesses, it's not like he's passing laws that affect their lives at this point. I know he questioned maybe running for president someday, but at this point, he wasn't making any laws that were going to change anybody's life. So I don't understand. He wouldn't have affected anybody if they just unsubscribed to him, right? Oh, I will, Fizzy. Fizzy says to watch Charlie's debate with Buck Angel. It's pretty insightful. I definitely will. Yes, I agree with that too, Fizzy. Asking is fine, but getting mad for someone not instantly knowing is my problem with all of that. Yes, Angel. There should be no reason to unalive someone, especially on live TV. What I find very, very interesting about the whole Charlie Kirk situation, and I'm actually going to tie it to the Idaho 4 case. I find it very, very interesting that immediately there were several people that stood up and said, I knew the unaliver in grade school or high school or whatever, or I was their neighbor, or like people have come out of the woodwork to say I knew this person and this is what I thought of them. We didn't get any of that in the Idaho 4 case. Everybody went silent. Everybody. And I've heard a lot lately, especially, that Sigma Chi was basically telling people to shut their mouth or you're going to be dealt with if you speak on any of this, basically. And that's literally what we saw. Everybody kept their mouth shut. And I find it very, very interesting that everybody in the Idaho 4 case, no matter what side you were on, what you thought, what anything, who you thought was involved, we didn't have. Hi, Christina. How are you, dear? We didn't have anybody step up and say, hey, I knew this person. Hey, I saw this person that night. This is the time that I think such and such left the party. This is the last moment that I saw them, and it was this time. I hope this helps you with the timeline. Nothing, not a word. And I find that really, really, really interesting. Sorry, I don't mean to sniffle in your ear, but I find that really, really interesting. And I'm going to do a complete circle here with David Barriocha or Barachoa or whatever his name was. He's the one who said that he was in the area of 1122 King Road at 4 in the morning. And at this point, we don't know if he was walking or driving, but he put himself in that area, basically in front of 1122 at 4 in the morning. He didn't come forward and say a darn thing about anything, but yet he comes forward in the Charlie Kirk situation. How does that happen? How do you come forward on a situation that you have nothing to do with, but you couldn't step up in the Idaho 4 case and give out any information? Why? Why was there not one person that came forward in the Idaho 4 case to say, hey, this is what I know, this is what I saw? Karen says, as a human, I cannot imagine an association basing telling me I cannot tell the truth about an unaliving. It would be, oh, heck no, I will speak. I feel the exact same way. Hey, JJ, how are you? I agree. I think it's absolutely wild now, especially seeing other situations that are largely in the news. Obviously, Charlie Kirk was more of a famous person, and that's, I think, a lot of the reason he's obviously, it's huge news, right? But Idaho 4 was huge news as well. It was very, very big news. It was national news, just like Charlie Kirk. So it's not like a huge difference as far as the media goes, because it's being spread everywhere, just like Idaho 4 was. So why are people tied to Idaho 4 speaking out about Charlie Kirk, but not about Idaho 4? And so your supposed close friends. That's very strange to me. And it keeps showing me more and more that something is very, very off with Idaho 4. Not only was it handled wrong, but all the players involved, whether you just glanced at Xana at the party to family, to friends, to Molly McMichael, to everybody. Nobody stood up and said a word. And it makes me think there's definitely somebody or something much higher that is telling people in Idaho to keep your mouth shut. Yeah, exactly, Carol. I guess all the students know the rules in Idaho. Keep your mouth shut or else. And I heard that basically that's what Sigma Chi was telling everybody. Like, you will be dealt with if you are seen or heard speaking a word of anything. And it's wild. So, speaking of, oh, and then I don't know if you guys know, but I'm sure you do. The David Barriocha or Barichoa, however you say his last name, David B, was fired from his job for celebrating the unaliving of Charlie Kirk, if that tells you what type of human being he is. So I think it's really, really crappy for anybody to celebrate the unaliving of anybody, especially in front of that many people on TV, in front of their children. Literally, hey, Birdie, literally just because they have a disagree with you. Like, what? It's words. If you don't like it, block it. Birdie says, I feel like at this point it would have to be the government or FBI keeping students who graduated quiet at this point. I can't believe that more kids haven't spoken out after graduation. And I think that's an interesting point because now you're not even in the town. You're not tied to it anymore. Technically, you've, ran away or moved on or whatever. Why can't you speak now? And I think that Birdie, actually, when you did your talking about the NIJ study, I really found a lot of ties to that make a lot of sense, right? And even if it's not like this full blown study type thing, I think that there is some truth in that to make it like more tied to the FBI, more tied to one of the 3-letter agencies, and even possibly a psyop type thing, because it's way too strange and it's been handled differently. Everybody's acting differently than in any other case we've ever seen, ever. It's wild. Motoman MX. Okay, now you got to tell me, is it Motoman Max or Motoman MX? Because I don't want to get it wrong anymore. Hey, Jeff H. Motoman says, I bet a lot of people have questioned that since the beginning. Yeah. I know at the very beginning of IDAHO4, right, I was like, initially when they were, and I've said this before, initially officers were talking about leaning, the way that they were speaking was like, it's one person. It just by their verbiage, it was one person. And in my mind, I was like, one person? What? Like, that's not what I think at all. So then when they had Brian Koberger, obviously, I was like, okay, first of all, for me, it's not one person. So where are the other people if he's involved? And then after you get to thinking on it, even for 10 minutes, you're like, there's no way this kid did this. Like, there's no way. There's just no way. But that brings me to another point, actually. Thank you, Carol. Carol, you are always so generous. You really, really are, with your cute little kitty picture. I really appreciate you. Oh, thank you, Bianca. We have one gifted. That's so sweet, Bianca. Thank you so much. So another point that I want to touch on is the whole Mowich situation. I know that obviously Pav puts a lot into the Mowich situation. He does a lot of digging and he has a lot of really good points with it. I'm not by any means saying he's wrong or anybody's wrong, because obviously I wasn't there either. I don't have a clue. But I just find the Mowich situation, the thing that bothers me about that makes me think I don't know if that's true, is because we're back to it being just one person. And that just doesn't sit right with me. What I was thinking about was, what if it was Mowich, but not just Mowich? And the person that was with Mowich tried to unalive Mowich as well, so he couldn't speak or tell, basically to silence him. And that's my thought at this point on it, is the Mowich angle could really make some sense. It could. But if you just take it as just Mowich and Mowich alone, we're just back to it being one lone person. And I can't ride with that. To me, it's at the very, very, very least 2 people. But I really think it's 3 or 4, honestly. But if there were more people with Mowich, and let's say Mowich was the jabberbox and everybody thought he would tell, so they had to do away with him, then that would make more sense to me than it just being Mowich alone. Oh, thanks, Carol. What are your guys' thoughts on Mowich? So, and just in case anybody doesn't know, Mowich is the guy that was found, walking, and he had like broken feet and was all cut up. I don't understand how Mowich could get those wounds if none of the victims were fighting with a sharp object. It would have to be by his own weapon, and I just don't see those type of wounds happening with your own weapon. So that's why I would think that it would have to be somebody else with Mowich, or more people with Mowich that then tried to do him in for talking. But he was found basically walking, disheveled, cut up, broken bones, all sorts of stuff, walking aimlessly with a crashed car. And he was taken into the hospital on the 15th of the same month, same year, everything. So the timing really goes together. It does make a better scapegoat. It does. I would think, I don't know why they didn't just use that one. And, I heard actually Birdie say, sorry, Birdie, I don't mean to use your name, but I love your channel. So I listen all the time. And I heard Birdie say on one of his shows the other day that it would be a great scapegoat, but it doesn't give the public the answers that they're looking for, right? The public needs and wants to see somebody take the responsibility for this and tell the truth about it and want the answers from what actually happened. And having somebody just be, yes, thank you, Bianca, for putting Birdie's channel in there. Yeah, so it makes sense. And what I think of when I think of, no, we need somebody to go down for this, to, hey, Iraq, to go down for this, we need somebody to give us answers. We need somebody to be alive and take the responsibility and see them punished for this crime. So I agree that it would be a great scapegoat, but I don't think for the public it would work. It wouldn't be a big selling story, right? It would be kind of a one and done, and nobody is making money off of that. And by that, I mean mainstream media, right? And books and all sorts of stuff, right? So that couldn't be. They couldn't have that narrative happen. And that also ties in for me with the red fluid dropping down the side of the house, right? They knew we weren't going to see bodies leave the house. They knew we weren't going to see any proof of that. So they had to give us a visual to prove to the general public how bad it was inside that house, which then we're leaning into, is it real? Is it not? Is it, I can see why some people think it's a psyop and not real. And I can see why some people, obviously like us, don't think that it's Brian Koberger. I'm going to get some chats up on here. Birdie says, what if he snitched and he got put into WITSEC? He flipped on the real perps and they staged his death. Thinking out loud, of course. Then they see who goes to the funeral, etc. Start tracking those guys. Interesting. That's an interesting thought. I'm going to have to dig into that. Because that could, I mean, at this point, it's IDAHO4, and I feel like anything goes. Anything goes at this point. And yeah, we do need to explain the cleanup. Now, yes, Bertie Mowich was the one who was referenced by Farley. Yes. I've thought of that. I was at the dog park this weekend thinking of Kopeka, and maybe I'll have to jump down that rabbit hole. Could it have been Mowich with Kopeka? Kopeka offs Mowich to silence him. And then Kopeka. So did you guys hear, and I might just be late to this news, but did you guys hear what they found in Kopeka's apartment? It was like literally just his like military paperwork and no furniture in the apartment, almost like it was just pretty much staged. Like, here's why. Oh, thank you, MotoMax, Max MX. Motoman says, I feel like they rushed an investigation and were in too deep when they fully realized the extent of evidence they did not have, but had to press on anyways. Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think they messed up so bad in the beginning, but at this point we're questioning, was it messed up so bad in the beginning because they messed up so bad and were incompetent? Or did they mess up so bad in the beginning, but it was all on purpose, right? Like, I think that's what a lot of people are going back and forth with in their head when it comes to the beginning of this crime, because I feel like there's a lot of things that happen with the investigation from the very beginning that is like investigation 101. Like, you could Google it and find like, okay, what are the first steps in an investigation? And none of that was done. So I don't know. For me, it goes both ways, and I fight with that in my own head. Was it a bad investigation on purpose, or did they mess up and now have to go a different route because they messed up so bad and they don't want to be the laughing stock? Thanks for joining, Birdie. Appreciate you. You think Fizzy thinks it's on purpose? I think it's on purpose too. And what tells me that it's on purpose is the whole knife sheath thing, right? Sorry, I got to sniff. Hold on. Sorry, I have stuffy nose. And yes, so the whole on purpose thing is what makes up my mind sometimes when I'm going back and forth in my head over things, is that it was done on purpose is because of the knife sheath. Number one, the whole timing of the knife sheath, like when it was found and who it was found by, is totally messed up. We can't get an honest answer. And then from that person who made that report, who found the knife sheath, has already been proven to be a liar in other cases. So can they be believed? And then we still have no proof that he actually saw a knife sheath or that there was even a knife sheath there. It's the one thing the public is asking for, and they won't give it to us. Why? And then on top of that, we have officers going out and buying the same knife, sheath, and sharpener that supposedly Brian Koberger purchased. But in my mind, I feel like they did that to substitute their purchase as being Brian Koberger's purchase. All you have to do is alter dates, right? How easy is that for the FBI? Alter dates and put Brian Koberger's address on there. And now you just made it look like Brian Koberger bought that knife. My question is, Brian Koberger was literally Googling K-Bar knives, not to buy them, not on Amazon, not for purchase, just to look at them as far as like, what does that knife look like type of Google search. Well, why would you need to do that if you had bought one? If you already had one and you supposedly were the one who used it, why would you need to look it up to see what that knife even looks like? I think that's strange. Oh, Fizzy, I'm so sorry. I did not check emails yesterday or today yet. Yesterday was Bronx's worst day so far. So I apologize. I will check it this evening when I go to the park. And that's the thing, Moto. We don't know. We don't know. And that's what everybody's asking for, right? I'm sure even you're asking for that. Like, Jesus Lord, just show us not a picture of it, not after they seized it already. When Payne walks in that bedroom door, just blur everything except for the knife sheath. Blur it all. I mean, they can edit the whole freaking video or picture or whatever. I don't care. Just show us that there was a knife sheath there. I don't believe, I'm going to be honest, I don't believe there was a knife sheath there. I just don't. And that's because they won't prove it. And, Liv, that's a really good point, too. Liv says, or the immense pressure, especially by the university, made them conduct this investigation in a dishonest, corrupted manner. And I think the university knows the truth and wanted it wrapped up quick. 1,000% agree with that. 1,000% agree. And what's interesting, right, is we even heard in the whole Charlie Kirk situation, what did that man, I think it was the governor or somebody, what did he get up there and say? We were praying that it wasn't one of ours. It couldn't be a Utah on Utah crime. We couldn't have it be somebody that goes to the University of Utah or whatever the college was. We heard the exact same thing with Idaho. We couldn't have it be an Idaho on Idaho crime. It couldn't be somebody from the University of Idaho against their own people. What is with that? What is with that mentality? What does it make a difference where they're from? See you, JJ. Thanks for tuning in for a minute. Yes, where is the sheath? And you know that Ellie knows we want to see it. Why are they keeping it hidden? Exactly. And I don't know if you guys remember, I think it was the last live that I did, so Thursday or Friday-ish, I think. And I stated that in the Ada County documents, for a little minute, they were unsealing documents and they were putting that red flag next to it that says new, like new document, open me, right? And I said, what's weird is these two new documents came out and it was the supplemental response regarding sealed documents because both the defense and the state, I believe, want some documents to remain sealed. And then I said, well, nothing has happened since those documents were put out and then sealed. So it makes me think something else is going on in this case behind the scenes. And since then, we still have not gotten any unsealed or new documents. Something is going on in this case, you guys. I'm telling you, it's something. I don't know what it is yet, but there's something going on. And I said that last week that these two documents that were released as new and then sealed bother me. There's something to them, meaning there's something going on with the case. And I said, we'll know in a couple days if they stop unsealing documents. And they did. They stopped unsealing documents. So now nobody knows what's going on in the case right now. But something's working. Something's working behind the scenes. You think it has to do with the leak? And I think that's very, very possible. Fizzy thinks it has something to do with the leak. That's very possible. Very, very possible. Liv says, does anybody remember the news clip with the university offering up a large sum of money to assist in the investigation to hurry up and be solved? It was a woman. I wish I would have saved it then. I do remember somebody offering tons of money, a female in like a very wealthy female offering tons of money in the very beginning, and then nothing ever came of it, or I don't know what happened with it. Yes, the barn dummies are coming out and talking a lot. They're very biased. A lot of the things they've been saying are absolutely ridiculous. So I'm glad that they were never put on the stand, because they should have been in a position of being unbiased, just like the freaking judge, though, right? But they're very biased, and you can hear it in the tone, in the words that they say, in the words that they choose, in the sentences they form, that they are very biased. And I think that they would have even subconsciously tried to steer a jury. Thank you, Moto Man. Moto Man says the media sealed their lips after the Othram 5 days later statement. They sure did. There hasn't been a whole lot in the mainstream media after Othram said that. So, hello, brother. Is it brother? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think that a 5-day statement is interesting, because technically, either way you put it, they're lying. Either way. Either you did have it in 5 days and the whole thing is a lie, or you didn't and now you're lying saying you did. Either way, it's a lie. I mean, how is that even possible? Hello, Top. I haven't seen you in a minute, maybe a week or so. I hope you're doing well. So, one thing I want to play. I'm sorry that I'm so stuffy right now. I feel like I sound so annoying. I want to play. I'm going to play Outcast's video because we love Outcast. But Bethany says something interesting at 16:59 in the video. And I'm going to play it really quick.
So it kind of looks like it came down there, but I don't know.
Oh, she already said it. Oh, that's too far.
People were just making like food, like, and Ethan was here or something and knocked something over because he's usually loud in the kitchen upstairs. Okay. So what do you mean by you heard a firework? It sounded like a little firework, and then there's like a spark. I'm like by my I'm on the bottom floor. Okay. And so it kind of looked like it came down there, but I don't know.
So she just said, and I put it in the chat, it kind of looked like it came down there, but I don't know. So she's talking about the spark that she supposedly saw through the crack of her door on the floor. My question is, why would she say it kind of looked like it came down there? She is basically in that sentence saying she knows the spark or whatever it was came from upstairs, and she said it kind of looked like it came down there. How does she know there was a spark upstairs? And the only thing I can think of is because she wasn't in her freaking room and she wasn't sleeping. Thank you, Bianca, for putting Outcast channel in the chat. This has to have been the first and only interview that Blaker has ever done. How do you not ask for more details in any of these questions? It drives me nuts. Moto Man says it must have bounced on the floor, which is very possible, which means, like, what is it? How big was the flash? What color was the flash? How long did the flash last? Like, these are questions that should have been asked. But if she knew or saw or whatever that it bounced on the floor or anything, my question is, her statement is, it kind of looked like it came down there. It kind of looked like it came down there, meaning it came from upstairs. How would she know that, though? Remember, she lied twice about where her room is even located. And where her room is located, how would she see anything that came from upstairs? Isn't she in the room that's like tucked back a little bit? How would she know that? Her language here is saying that whatever that was came from upstairs. But how would she know that if she was in her room with the door shut? Hey, Sculla. Good to see you, dear. It just doesn't make sense. And it angers me so much that nobody asked them for any details on anything. We could have answers, you guys. That's the whole thing. We could have answers. And then we go back to, do we not have answers because they suck? Or do we not have answers because they're doing it on purpose? It could have been a stun gun. It very well could be. And a person could use a stun gun. And then remember, the coroner said they didn't look like sharp force wounds. I don't know. Can I say stabbing? We'll just say stabbing. It didn't look like stabbing. It looked like huge gouges. Well, if there's huge gouges where a stun gun was used before the huge gouge got there, we wouldn't know that there was a stun gun used because it would cover up the mark. It would be gouged open, right? So there could have been a stun gun used and we just don't know it because the gouges took up the space where the stun gun would have touched the skin, basically. Yeah, gouges to me doesn't sound like a K-bar knife. I don't care how big it is, because gouges to me say the width is much, much bigger, not the length, not the depth of what a K-bar can get to. It's the width of it, which tells me it's not that weapon. It's something different. Carol H says, did you see the bullet holes in the walls? They were covered up by Post-it notes. So I did see the Post-it notes, and I've seen lots of comments about the bullet holes. I have not actually physically seen the bullet holes myself, but I'm going to go back and look. Not right now. I'll do it on my own time, but that would be really interesting. But I also wouldn't be surprised because I truly think that Kaylee's wound to her face was made from the butt of a gun. I truly believe that. It is, Moto Man. It's all in the girth, not the length. Don't let anybody fool you. All in the girth. I don't know. I saw the Post-its, but I don't know if they were there or not prior to. Karen says, we still have not seen a good reason for this case to be so sealed from the beginning. No, there is literally, sorry, Fizzy. That was a funny joke, I thought. Moto Man is funny. Oops. Christina says, has anybody seen the latest video from Karmic Retribution? Dylan is sitting there and she's got pictures behind her and it looks like she's representing the unalivings. I have not. Excuse me. Okay, so the bullet holes in the wall are in the body worn camera. Perfect. I will have to go and look. But no, Christina, I haven't seen that. And I'm going to write that channel down too, because I will forget. And you know me, Christina. You know I will forget. Karmic retribution. Their drawings. Okay. Interesting. Oh, wait. Is it the drawings that are in her room behind her? Is that what you're talking about? Because if it is, then yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. And not because I saw the video, but because back when we first got the pictures, I zoomed in to what was behind. Okay, good. Yes, Christina. So I zoomed in when we very first got the pictures to the pictures behind Dylan in her room. And I zoomed in so far and I sent them to my mom too. And I'm like, what are these pictures? Why does it look like somebody like almost gagged or something? It's very strange. I'm going to have to go back and look though, because I don't want to misspeak on them either. But I do remember zooming in, sending them to my mom and telling her like there's something very off with these pictures behind her. I'll go ahead and watch the channel that you sent though, because I'd love to see it. No matter with this case, I feel like in other cases, I always like to steer kind of away from the stuff that sounds kind of far-fetched and out there and whatever. Conspiracy. I don't even want to say conspiracy because I feel like that's kind of more normal to even think that way these days. But in other cases, I would steer away from stuff like that. But with this case, I've gotten very comfortable actually watching stuff that maybe sounds or looks like it might be a little bit out there, because I feel like in this case, anything can go. Anything can go in this case. They purposely have had the media with a purposeful narrative and the police doing a shoddy investigation, I feel like on purpose. So I feel like anything goes at this point because they're covering up something. And it's got to be something big enough and wild enough to need to be covered up this bad. I don't count the frats out either. I know that Pav says to count the frats out. I just don't at this point still. And the reason, I'll tell you, Fizzy, the reason that I don't count them out yet is because I feel like in that Banfield stop, the people running in the background, I feel like they were from a frat. And I feel like anybody would know if that was them in the background at that time in that location on that day, right? So why haven't they come forward and said, that was me running in the background, we were just coming from the gas station or whatever? But nobody has come forward. I feel like those people are related to the frats in some way, shape, or form, and that's why I still think not to count the frats out. So I agree with you. Shelly, you're right. I do wonder. I don't know, because they didn't seem like super intoxicated to me, to where you're like wearing sunglasses at night and singing and being funny, and it wasn't like that to me. So why were they wearing sunglasses? Shelly says, why did the boys in the Banfield have a woman's shirt on that was too small, and why did they have sunglasses on? It's just odd. Sculla, are you singing the song? Because now it's going to be stuck in my head. Oh, thank you, Christina, for sending me that. Awesome. Beautiful, beautiful. I don't know. Shelly says also something else that's puzzled me was the crime live streamed? I don't know if it was, but it does sound to me, in my opinion, like something. Let me take this off. Like something was going on with live streaming something. And I feel like that's what all the Venmo stuff was for, because that's odd stuff, odd dollar amount. odd time, odd message put on the Venmos, everything with that, I feel like is tied to, yes, Carol, or even pictures being taken. I agree. I think that that's what the Venmo was for. Something tied to the crime, whether it was pictures or a live stream. I do think that. Yeah. It's wild. And then I saw a bunch of numerology stuff today, and I don't normally get into like numerology stuff, but I saw a bunch of numerology stuff today that was just crazy. Like how that even fits. It's just wild. That's okay, Fizzy. I was reading your mail. What else did I have? Oh, the other thing I wanted to just touch on super fast is Bethany in that interview also says she thought Ethan was in the kitchen making food and that somebody accidentally fell into the table. Okay, that's kind of a two-part for me. The table part, if Bethany could hear it all the way downstairs and it sounded like somebody fell into the table, that means the table was moved significantly. Number one, how did Dylan not hear it? And number two, how did the table get back in a perfect position that it seemed to be in before that? That's the one thing that I'm questioning. The other thing I'm questioning is Bethany saying it sounded like Ethan was in the kitchen making food. So what happened in the kitchen? It couldn't have been a fight. That's where I think the cleanup is coming from, right? If it sounded like just somebody casually in the kitchen making food and not somebody being unalived with sharp force injuries, 50 of them, my goodness. If it just sounded like somebody casually in the kitchen making food, that to me sounds like somebody is casually in the kitchen cleaning up. Exactly, Carol. I mean, I don't really believe. Thank you, Scala. We have a new member. And now that Bronxy's on the healing end, I can go back to my regular scheduled shows and videos. I have to admit, I know that all you guys said, like, take care of Bronx, don't worry about it, we'll still be here. I felt horrible. I really did. I was like, not only did I feel guilty and feel horrible, I missed you guys. I missed these conversations. I need you. I need you. Yep, that's what I think. I think that I think Bethany was distancing herself to say, I don't know, it sounded like Ethan was in the kitchen making food because she knew what was going on. She knew what was happening and she was also part of it. But that's like her little cover up to distance herself from it. Yes, Scola, my puppy had surgery. My baby, he's not a puppy anymore. He's 4, but he had surgery and it ended up not going very well. So it's been a very, very rough week for me. But as of this morning, he is now on the mend and getting better rather than worse now. So, yes. I know. I wish they always were puppies. But no, he is definitely a puppy in heart. I'll have to post a picture of the toy I got him. It's really funny. It's a huge hamburger. And he has been wrestling with it, but it's just as big as he is, so it's pretty funny. Yes, he's definitely still my puppy. Yes, it is very expensive. Yes, it is. But he's worth every penny. Oh my gosh, shark tooth phase. Oh my God. So Bronx had shark tooth phase for like a solid 3 weeks, and he would always go after everybody's shoelaces the part that was tied in the bow. So then when he would miss, he would literally bite your ankle. Oh my God. I was so glad when that phase was over. Oh, yes. Aw, Shelly, you'll have to send a picture. Email me a picture if you think of it or have time or whatever. Send me an email. I want to see the baby pictures. All right, guys, I could only be on for an hour today. I will make it up to you though, I promise. So we'll be live Wednesday, but I'll shoot out a video tomorrow. But I gotta do some things for Bronx this evening before everybody closes and everything. So I do have to get going today. But I just want to thank everybody for being here and chiming in. I love your guys' opinions and thoughts as always. Thank you so much to my Madi mods. You guys are the best. Yep, we'll do quite a bit longer on Wednesday. And I'll set some stuff up for you. So, other than that, thank you for being here. Do something nice for yourself. Be kind, but more importantly, be kind to your entomals. I'll see you guys very, very soon. Bye, guys.